Um, we have with us today Horst Giesler, who is the deputy principal, Thomas Schartowitz, who is the head of junior secondary in our school from year 5 to year 10. We have Marnie Sinclair, who's here to speak mainly, who's a teacher at our school, but who's very knowledgeable in the IB, in the years 11 and 12, in the IB program. Jonna Vinje, a teacher of our school, who is running a lot of lessons and very knowledgeable around German as a second language. I see Rachel Allison, who used to teach at our school and who can tell you anything and everything around IT at our school. Those are the people I see at the moment. Maybe there are more that I don't see.
Well, Christian Wolf is also in the meeting, but
Christian Wolf is our general manager and keeping a very close eye on COVID safety at the moment, among a ton of other things. So once again, welcome to our chat. Let's just make it lively. I see one hand up by Priya, but please engage in asking questions and put your electronic hand up as Antje has said, so we can answer your questions. Priya.
Hi. Just few questions. The first one, so my understanding from your presentation is German language is not a requirement for year 7. Means there is no.
That's correct.
Knowledge. Okay, yep, that's good. My another question is, do you encourage or allow enrollment only for IB from year 11 and 12, or the student must be starting in the school from year 7 to enroll in IB?
Well, I can give you the technical answer. That is, yes, we do allow kids into year 11. Maybe, Marnie, you want to comment on the benefits of joining the school a little earlier, or other people?
Okay, yes, you have a small intake in year 11, but of course, if you're here already, you have a guaranteed place, whereas I think from the outside, it's a little bit dependent on how much room there is. Also, of course, you know, social and emotional, it's always good to continue on with those kids that you've known since year 7. But especially if you're wanting to, you know, make the most of that language learning and do a kind of a double degree that will be internationally recognized, then it is best to join the school earlier to get that language immersion as soon as you can. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Just on that, so in case if you are joining in year 11, so what is the minimum German language requirement or academic requirement that's needed? I mean, I understand you have only limited seats, but still you will be doing some scrutinizing based on there is a German language requirement, or how the academic performance in the previous years is that?
Yes, no, in year 11, some of our students do German ab initio, it's called, which is like a beginner's German course. So you can come in year 11 without knowledge of German.
Oh, okay. Thanks a lot.
I think one thing that might be worth mentioning in this context is, and I touched on it before, that quite a number of schools that are offering the IB offer it parallel to HSC. And it may not be publicly declared openly, but usually the high achieving or gifted kids end up in those schools on the IB track, or are being offered the IB track. So, and that is for the reason that the IB is quite a demanding program, and we try to build up to that level during junior secondary. And that is also, I would say, an advantage of bringing your kid into this school a little bit earlier, or maybe in year 7, which would be the best entry point if your kids are not even younger than that, so that there's a continuing continuous build up to both the academic level, but also the strategies in learning that are required there.
Yeah, so you kind of answered the first question that I can read in the chat, when would be the best time to join the school. But let me just read out the next one before I go to the other raised hand. A quick question, Priya, if you don't have enough, yeah.
Sorry, the question was year 5 or year 7?
Is it year 5 or year 7? Yes, you mentioned year 7 or earlier. But yeah, go ahead if you.
It's just because that's the consideration of many parents that for secondary school they pick the one that fits their child and that meets their philosophy of education and personality development and all that. The general answer would be enroll your kids for preschool, because obviously that's really an advantage of this school, this continuum from very early age up to year 12, and the transitions that are being made possible and build up of competencies and knowledge.
But the question was, is it year 5 or year 7? So I'm assuming preschool is already too late. So the question is, when should be the best time to join the school for a German as a secondary language student? And I think that's a fair enough question. Lorenz?
Maybe Thomas or Jonna want to answer that?
I think Jonna would be the first one to tell. How about Jonna?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. Thank you. Yeah, so there are a few variables there. So language learning wise, of course, the earlier the better. However, the way the school system that we have is organized at the moment and structured, year 7 is our main intake for students who don't have any prior German knowledge. And whereas we can welcome students in year 5 as well, there are some structural issues that have to be considered. For example, these students would have to take French in year 6, which might be a little bit of a challenge if you are already challenged with the task of learning German. And because we don't have the huge numbers of students that some other schools have, we also have German learning in a composite class in year 5 and 6. Which also can be challenging for some students, but there's definitely a possibility to join in year 5 without any German as well. I hope that helped.
Yeah, thank you, Jonna. There's another question here where I think you are the best person to answer that, being a year 10 class teacher at the moment. What are the class sizes for year 9 and 10? And then maybe Mani wants to say something about year 11 and 12.
Yeah. So we have 2 year 9 and 2 year 10 classes, and we have approximately just under 15 students in each of the year 10 classes. Year 9s, I'm actually not too sure about, sorry.
It's very similar, I think. Mani?
Yes, in year 11 and 12, I'm the year advisor of the current year 12 cohort, and there are 20 students there. I think year 11 have maybe 21, 22. So I think year 9 is a little bit larger at the moment. I think there's like about 20, 18, yeah. 19, 20 in each group. But I think that we are all capped at 24, but Antje probably knows that better than I do.
That's our maximum class size, but wherever we have 2 classes, well, currently we don't actually hit that maximum, but wherever we have only 1 class, like year 5 and year 6, we're more likely to come close to that maximum, and in the younger classes as well, but this is the secondary session, so we just focus on that. I
think it's also worth noting that obviously the learning group sizes vary greatly. So Mani spoke about 20-some students in the IB per year, but there may be a much smaller class depending on subjects. So, for example, myself, I have the luxury at the moment of having only 4 physics students in year 12. That is exceptionally low. Normally it's around, I think in year 11 it's over 10. But so the learning group sizes are often much smaller than the overall class sizes.
I know someone else put their hand up first. However, there's one question here which I think relates to a previous one, which is why I'd like to read that out first. So from Alexander, we speak German at home, but not written. So if students are maybe something around year 4 at the moment, I have to assume, and can already speak German, but can't read and write, maybe not much. Again, I'm just assuming, would you recommend to start in year 5 or year 7? I would like to come to that, back to that.
Maybe I could say a few words about that. I think it's good to start as early as possible in German to get immersed to the German language. And interesting is we have lots of families who, if you just talk to them, you think, wow, you're from Germany. You must be from Germany. You speak German very well. But we have seen that there are students who can't write the German. So that would start in the German foreign language classes. And it's important to know that these classes are differentiated, which means we have different levels within the groups, which means each student is supported individually depending on where he is at. So, but the general message would be, if you would like to pick up the German in the written form too, as early as possible.
And also we are offering French from year 6, so especially for German speakers, that's important to mention, to start a bit earlier than year 7, to not having to catch up later on French. Lorenz, you were going to say something. Did I take the lead there? Okay, so there's someone, I don't know your name. There's a big L. Would you like? Do you have your hand up for a long time? Would you like to ask your question? It's just this live.
Hello, this is Pega. I'm not sure if this is me or not. I have no idea how to change my names in the team, but I hope this is me that you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for your time all. That was very great. All the information was very necessary. I've got 2 questions. One is, how many intakes do you have for year 7 students per year? The other question is, what is if you want to give us a comparison between the learning outcome of New South Wales and what you are following at this stage, which is the combination of German and New South Wales. If you want to give us in details how you're gonna provide us more information, please. Thank you. And it is Pega, by the way.
Thank you. I can answer the number question. Because so basically for our current year 7, we are having 30 students, and we're looking next year to have possibly around 40, which is across 2 classes. Yeah, but for the learning outcome, I'd like to pass that on, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think about the way that we combine the curriculum a little bit, because I came from the New South Wales public system, and I've been learning a lot about the gymnasium system since I joined the school. So in English, basically in Germany, they would learn English as a second language. So they do a lot of kind of a comprehension and that kind of style. But in the New South Wales curriculum, English is taught as a literature subject where you immerse in books and things like that. So I kind of teach a bit of half and half, because that's what they do in the IB as well. We do language and literature. So I have some very focused language lessons, but we are able to bring in the books, bring in the advertisements, bring in the lots of different text types. And I know that Thomas's daughter, who came from Germany to Australia, she said she really enjoyed English when she got here because we were engaging more fully in text than just teaching it as a second language. And of course, even if English is your second language, if you're more engaged in what's happening, you're going to learn more. And then with history, I also teach history. And the way I combined that was in the Australian history curriculum, they had certain subjects that are important to Australia. For example, Gallipoli, which isn't important to Germany. So I kind of you know, tried to combine those two, where I make sure that I hit all the points in the New South Wales curriculum that are important to Australia, while also hitting the subjects that are interesting and important to Germany that most Australian schools would not teach. For example, Napoleon, French Revolution, those kind of more European-centric topics. So we make sure we cover all those New South Wales outcomes while also making sure we cover the topics that Germany requires.
Maybe adding something from the junior secondary head side, just to let you know, for example, we teach the separate sciences, which means chemistry, physics, and biology in years 7, 8, 9, and 10. And so there's a big difference here for sure. And important is in the long run that we prepare our students for the IB and not the HSC, but we have the relation to that. It's a combined curriculum, which we more or less self-developed here under the guidance of the Kultusministerkonferenz of Germany.
Thank you. That was very useful. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Priya, you're having the hand up the entire time. I just don't know, are you having the hand up again, or you just forgot to take it down? Okay, sorry. Okay.
Sorry, forgot to take it up. Thanks.
No worries. I'll read one more question out from the chat because it was there earlier, and then Jamie, it's your turn after that. So Mark is asking, would it be better to enroll now for year 9, which is term 4 almost, or wait for the beginning of year 10? We've already been in touch, so I've already kind of touched on that per email, but I would say, Mr. Chartowicz, do you mind answering that?
Yeah, sure. First of all, you can contact me anytime about that yourself, no worries. I could tell you a little bit more than just here in this chat. In general, I think it would be good to contact and enroll as quickly as possible, because especially in year 10, we'll definitely lead to the IB, and we start this already in year 9. That means, how do students work? The independent learning is there. They have to do presentations. They have to do independent research. So that's very important to us, and it's necessary to build up and to build this all up to the IB. So my recommendation to be quick would be as quickly as possible with a chat with Antje and me in advance.
There's the difficulty, though, that we're in lockdown at the moment. So
yep.
Would you also
online,
recommend to start during lockdown?
Right now, I mean, you have to, the key thing is I would have to check and would like to talk to you individually to check where you're coming from, what's the background. That's important. Then we need to decide what is good and what is the best for the child. That's the key thing.
Can I just jump in? We've had 2 students join this this term who have started in lockdown. We'd never met them before. We see them like this on the chats, and they just feel like one of the class. I think they've picked it up really well, and it must be a little bit strange for them. But we are doing like little breakaway rooms and group work and chatting together as a class. So in a way, maybe it's a nice way to ease in and not have to worry too much about what I'm wearing that day and the other things that a new kid must be scared about.
I personally find one big disadvantage, obviously, is that normally we have trial days. So we allow students to come in before the enrollment. So before they commit, basically, they can see what the class is like, what would they feel like in class. And this is obviously not possible at the moment. And that I see that as a big downside to join during lockdown. But yeah, that's my take. But there's someone who's having their hands up for a little while. Jamie or Jamie, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. Do you want to ask a question?
Hello, guys. Thank you so much for the presentation today. It has been great, very, very informative. Our daughter, she is currently in year 5. Now, when Jonah was mentioning about that joining year 6 would be a bit daunting because of the French language, in addition to learning German, that's okay. That's okay. But if she was joining in year 7, in year 7 do the students also have French as well?
That's the first question. It's I don't know who wants to answer that. You're not. It kind of depends a little bit on the student, I guess. The background.
Yeah, so normally if a student joins us and doesn't have a German language background, they will not have French in year 7, but rather they will have additional German lessons. So they have a really, really rich German program in year 7 and 8. And then in year 9, they take Spanish. So that could maybe be interesting for your child.
We are Spanish native speakers.
I thought I might have heard that, yeah.
Yes. The other question, if I may, the other question that I have for you is that I'm struggling a bit to map the New South Wales education. It goes, when they say primary school, it goes from kindy to year 6. Yeah. Then you have high school that goes from year 7 all the way to year 12. Now, in GISS, what I see is that when you call the primary, you refer to from kindy to year 4, and then you refer to the secondary from year 5 to year 10 plus the IB. So then I'm struggling with that concept a bit, and if you can, help us out to understand more about that, that would be fantastic.
I could say a few words about that. I mean, what is taking place in year 1 to 4 is that they have probably just a few teachers who are teaching the whole curriculum in year 1 to 4. In year 5, it starts that we have experts in each subject, which means the students are immersed to more teachers and differentiated curriculum. And we would like to have them as soon as possible, as independent as possible, step by step building up. And this already starts in year 5. So I think that's not a big difference. It's just a year group, and the concept starts with us in year 5 already.
Yeah, can I just say that my daughters are in a in a usual government Australian high primary school years 5 to 6. And they have their regular class teacher, but they still split off into groups for, particular art lessons, particular PE lessons and things like that. So in year 5 at the German school, there's just a bit more of that. They've just got a few more teachers that they have to go and visit. Of course, though, they are located in their own classroom. So we're a bit inside out compared to Australian schools where in an Australian high school, the kids go around visiting the teachers at their various teacher rooms. Here, the teachers come to the kids. And they've got their own pigeonhole in the room. So that makes organisation a lot easier. And there are other things that we do to make it easier for 5 and 6 to cope with this kind of more high school method of teaching. Things like they've got catch-up lessons, like homework lessons, where the teacher will be there and help them kind of have just a period where they can look at their homework and organise their schedule. We do a lot of things with diaries and things like that. And, looking at my own kids that are, as I say, in year 5 and 6 as well, they are perfectly capable, and they need it at the moment to get themselves organised and following a timetable and looking at a diary. And I think it means that they go into year 7 really smoothly.
Thanks for that.
That was very well explained, Mani. I'd like to throw some more questions at you, but I'll let someone else ask first. So, Michelle, you're having your hand up for a while. Would you like to ask your question?
Hello, yeah, hi, this is Michelle. My boys, he's transferring from private school into German International Malaysia, starting year 9. And I have a question. If you can give me the information on the list of top 3 universities in Australia and overseas that where the former students entered.
Which student left school and entered universities?
Yeah, the top 3 university. Yeah,
that's a
university in Australia and then overseas.
As in, how many students went to which university?
No, list like name of the university.
Oh, which university?
Yeah.
That I can't do that from the top of my head. There's a lot that I can do from the top of my head, but not that. But what I can do, I'll take note of that, and not sure if I can send an entire list, but I will double check with our IB coordinator if she can sort of give me some sort of a summary that I can share with everyone.
I'm sure Mani can say a few words on that. Before I hand over to you, Mani, just generally, I try to say that before, the IB is completely recognized, obviously, in Australia and in Germany. So there's a very straight pathway into unis here and in Germany and all over the world. I know that this year actually, we've had our first student registered to Oxford studying law, right, Marnie? But maybe you can share a bit more about university's typical pathways of students.
Yes, I know that Ms. Thompson has a comprehensive list of where everybody's gone. The most impressive thing, I think, is that everybody who does the IB with us goes to a university or a secondary school, a tertiary level school. There's nobody who is left behind in that sense. I know that we have a few students at ANU currently, and one of our girls in year 12 at the moment has already been accepted to ANU because IB is so well recognized that they quite often will take students on the strength of the course before they've even sat their final exams. So she's already been promised to go to ANU in Canberra. I know we've got some students currently from my last year in New South Wales, the University of New South Wales. I think there's a few at Sydney. The ones overseas, I can't rattle off the names. I know we've got some in Germany. I know one of my girls is studying dentistry in New Zealand, and she's having a lovely time down there. But yes, so all the top universities, as Lauren said, even Oxford is where our students have ended up.
Oh, it's good to hear that. Thank you.
And maybe to add up to this, the responses we heard from students is that they're well prepared. That means they can come back to us and say, hey, wow, the first semester worked very well, and this is not a self-understood thing.
Because they've learned how to study like a university student.
They know how to do that, yeah.
Yeah. So Michelle, do you have any other question, or should I go to Peter?
No, I'm fine. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah?
It's good. Thank you so much. Good information. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Peter, do you have a question?
Yes. We have a boy who would be intending for him to start in year 9, and there were questions and topic on having a French in year 6, and then someone's asked about year 7. So I was wondering, what about our boy? If he started year 9, he had some classes in German but doesn't speak fluent German. Will he be studying the second language, French, or how is this language going to work out for him in year 9?
That's definitely a question for Miss Vinier. So he's going to start in year 9 next year. He had a little bit of German, but yeah, no French.
Yeah, thank you. So because he starts in year 9, he will start with the other students with Spanish. So he and the others, most of them will be absolute beginners with Spanish. So that's not a problem at all, I would say. And with German, luckily at the moment we have 3 different classes, 3 different levels for that year group. And that means that we have one quite advanced group, one group that's in the middle, and then we have one group that consists of the more beginners. And if he has had some German before, as you said, then he would probably fit quite well in that group. And our language teachers, well, all our teachers are really good at differentiating, so it shouldn't be a big issue. Obviously, there's some effort needed from the students to put in as well, but I'm sure that would not be a great issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter, for the question as well. I'm just going to read out. So with whom do I get in contact to arrange for a transition to your school? Well, that would be with me, obviously, being the registrar. And thanks, Rachel, for already posting my email address in there. You can email me and then I'll get in touch. I'm obviously working from home, but I'll contact you then via Teams, and we can chat via video or phone. And we also have an online application form on our website, so you can complete that if you're ready to lodge the application. I can see, Peter, you're raising your hand. 1 second, because Priya has also asked a question, and I'd like to read that out first. If the kid starts year 7, will he be able to cope up with learning German language from GISS exposure alone? Or further out of school, our language tutoring would be necessary? Again, Miss Vinje, Jana.
Thank you. Yeah, starting in year 7 is probably the perfect starting point if your child doesn't know any prior German, because we have a big cohort of students that come to us in year 7. So yeah, that should definitely be enough to participate in our classes to keep up the pace that we expect of the students.
So at what level are they at the end of year 12? I just jump in with some
Well,
questions.
that's very much depending on the student. So the high achieving students will be on a very independent language learner level, and very close to mother speaking, actually. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Peter, I think you were next, putting up your hand again, or is it just not down? I think
Yes.
you put it up again. Yeah.
It's a bit different topic, therefore I raised my hand again and
That's
asked a
okay.
different question. I was wondering about the individual attention your school provides to students, because I hear that there's not many students in each year and then they split, and therefore there's a question arising in my mind, just to what extent the students get more or less individual attention or more in groups. If someone can elaborate on these, I would be sort of wondering to gauge how this attention is individual versus group.
Maybe I can say a few words about that. In general, we have, as you said, small classes, and that depends on the teaching style of the teacher. But in general, we have a mixture. We have group works we have in class, individual works. What we don't have is possibly like a one-to-one teaching and tutoring. We have a diverse learning team who could interfere if there's issues cropping up, something needs to be caught up, and but we have a general learning approach as you find that in any other school, but we are very, very small, which is a big advantage. But we would like to have the students to do some teamwork too. That means they have to collaborate and do things together and present that. And final thing, it depends basically on the collaboration with parents and teachers to what extent an individual approach can be taken place. It means that parents may have a question, oh, my son has trouble in this or that part in mathematics. We contact the teacher and then we work something out, and they work something out how to get in touch and to make this happen. But I wouldn't say we have one-to-one classes, for sure not, but we have like 15 in one class in general.
Excellent. And to follow on from that, I wanted to ask, is this, I know that there is an education system, I think it might be Finland, where the whole class does not progress with further education in further concepts unless everybody understands the concept. Is that what it's applied here, or?
That's an interesting concept. I heard about Finland, but we have, as we see, and that's important. I mean, the collaboration is very, very important here. That means we would like to, in German, we say, pull on the same string here. That means as soon as a student finds trouble or is in trouble of not catching up, has trouble of comprehension, either the teacher gets in touch with the student and the parents, or the parents get in touch with the teacher to make sure that we are proceeding. We have a goal in the end, and that's important to know. Most of the students try to get into the IB, and that means we would like to prepare them as well as we can. So there is some certain syllabi benchmarks we have to meet for sure. Maybe that explains or answers your question. But Marty has something to say too.
Sorry, yeah, I just wanted to say about the small class sizes. There's this attitude that gets trucked out by the Australian government a lot, which is that a study somewhere showed that it doesn't matter how small or large a class size is, because teachers don't change their teaching style whether they have 20 kids or 30 kids. And I really hate that study. I think that the government has jumped on it because, of course, they save money by having 30 kids in a class rather than 20. It's just common sense, isn't it? That if you've only got 20, or, Jonna with her language groups has even smaller groups, I know from personal experience, coming from where I was teaching 30 to now where I'm teaching 18, that I know every single kid in that class and I know what they're capable of. When I had 30 in the class, I'd go to parent-teacher nights, and sometimes a parent would ask me a question about a child, and to be honest, I was fudging. Sometimes I'd even try and figure out who they were because I had so many students. Lawrence can attend to this. When I stand at the gate and the kids come in, I greet them all by name because I know them all. We all know them all really now. And I know their families, and I know their learning styles, and I know their interests. When I'm marking the papers, I can give them that extra bit of time because I'm not, just trying to get through, because that's what it's like in the public schools. The teachers are drowning and they're just trying to get through. So as though we don't spend, technically one-on-one, although when kids are learning in class and you split them up and they're on a project, we do sit with them, next to them, and talk to them and have a look at what their work is. I see Yona all the time out in the playground, one-on-one with children. Because the behaviour is so good at our school, we can leave a little group of kids in the classroom and go out with one child and work with them one-on-one as well. So they do get a lot of attention at our school, and I think it's a real strength of our school.
Thank you, Mani. That answered the question very clearly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for the question as well. Piga, I believe is your name you said earlier, right? You have your hand up a long time.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. That's all right. Again, I just want to thank you again for all the informative session that you provide for us. I have another two questions. One is, do you have any statistic about the background of the student that you got? You said that it is around one third of the students are German and the other 2/3 are from different backgrounds. In particular, I'm asking because I am Iranian, and I wonder if you have any Middle Eastern or Iranian students in high school or secondary school. I mean, another question is, apparently our life is going to be online. What is your online approach? Is it like how many Zoom sessions do you have per day, and how is the online teaching working from the teacher's point of view? Thank you again.
Can I just start with answering that question before I give up to Rachel Ellison, who's our IT manager, who can answer best the off-campus question, I believe. So when it comes to the nationalities of our students, I just did recently a little analysis, and I found out that we have 34 different nationalities in our school, and also languages. So many students speak several languages and have several nationalities. So it's very difficult to say, is this student German? He might have a German passport, but he's born here and maybe only speaks basic German, depending on his age and how long he's been at our school and how much the parents could speak to him. But a lot of kids have various nationalities, and there's quite a few kids who have no Germanic background at all. And yes, we do have Iranians as well in the school, in primary as well as only a few, but a few also in secondary school as well. But now I give a hand over to Rachel Ellison about the online learning.
Yep. Hi, everybody. So we use Microsoft Teams for our online learning. Teams is supported by Microsoft OneNote, which basically acts like a learning log for the students. They have different channels and different tabs for different subjects. Obviously, depending on the subject, they will be using online tools more or less. For music, they can record stuff and submit recordings and stuff. Same for art. For more academic subjects, they are able to either work online or work in books that we use to supplement our learning. So every student has a school license, and that gives them the full suite of Microsoft tools. So they have everything they need for their online learning journey with us. Hopefully the online learning won't continue for much longer, but we are here to support them through that journey if it does.
Thank you. And do you guys like? I'm asking it of all teacher. Do you evaluate the online platform effective, or if these circumstances continue, do you have any plan to like make it much more positive? Thank you.
Maybe one of the teachers can jump in here because I don't deal with the evaluations of the work. I just provide the platform for it to work.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I start with that. It's quite challenging for all of us, for the schools, for the parents, for the teachers, and for the parents itself, and for the students. So I doubt that in any of the schools will be just going on and teaching and finish the year as any other school without this online learning. So for sure it is probably not the case that we reach our 100%. I doubt this, to be honest. But the thing is that with the tools we have, and we have very, very effective tools right now with Teams and OneNote, we can make the learning a lot easier for them. We have the blended learning approach. We can show them videos. We can talk to them one by one. We have breakout rooms. And I could show you all that, but it would be too much of that. So we have an effective approach. But in general, I doubt that we are able in the long run to reach the same thing as we would if we would be on campus. But I think this is taking place in any school in the whole world.
Thank you for your honesty. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for all the questions as well. I have a long list of questions prepared in case no one asks a question, and I'm kind of happy I didn't need them. Peter, you have your hand up as well?
Yes, I was wondering in regards to this online learning, does anyone on the team know what's the difference between the system that you'd use? Because in the presentation, I've seen that your system was praised for being produced for teaching online, obviously, because it's international, so it has to be used all over the world. So how do you compare your system and the content in your system to possibly some existing, Australian standard education systems?
It's a little bit hard for us to answer that question because we've been using Teams, and so we haven't been using Google Classrooms and things like that. I do know that my girls have been using Google Classrooms, and I think a lot of the time, sometimes they're getting worksheets and things that they find it hard to type into, or they've got to download them themselves. So I think one of the advantages of Teams and the OneNote is that it's very clear that this is a section of read only. This is a section where you can write in. A teacher can flick through the notebook and just monitor the students' monitor the students' contributions and whether or not they're writing in their books. So I think in that sense, it's a little bit better than Google Classrooms, which seems to be what most of the other schools in Australia are using. But like I say, it's hard for us to recognize that because we're not using it. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the parent before talked about, are we evaluating the online learning? And yes, we have been from the start. We've been surveying the kids, asking them, do they like it more? Do they like it better? Are they getting enough interaction? Are they getting enough work and not enough work? And we are finding that there is largely a very happy contingent in the middle. There are some kids who say I've got too much work. There are some kids that say I don't have enough. But I think on the main, we've been keeping a very nice line in the middle, and we've been adjusting things and adapting to what the children need.
I would like to add to that. So the technical issues are one side of it, but most importantly, how we work within that technical environment makes the difference. And I'm not able to compare our school to any Australian school. Marty's better positioned to that because she has kids in a public school. I can compare with schools in the German school network, and we've had a lot of sessions and conversations and PDs over the last year or so. For example, last year there has been a lockdown, as you may be aware, in April, May, where we started to develop our off-campus learning concept, and that concept, for example, was then the basis for the concept that the German International School in New York developed. Or they basically took our concept and changed it a little bit. I know from conversations with other principals and conferences that we had in Southeast Asia and East Asia, that our school is really placed ahead of most of them. And this is just really something very pragmatically that I note. I'm not advertising here. And that has to do with a number of things. I would call out three things. One is really the excellent technical infrastructure. We've had our teachers use their school-owned devices, standardized devices all along. So a teacher's used to taking their laptop, plugging it into a second screen in the staff room. Then if they go into class, plug it out, plug it in the classroom. And there's the same infrastructure in every room. And that is really very supportive of using the technology, because if you have any kind of obstacles coming your way, you'd much rather not even get it started. Second point I would want to mention is that our staff are, I'm pretty sure, compared to most other schools, fairly young on average, and really very good in technology. They have been using it, but they're also keen to use it to develop themselves. That's something really I notice in this school. As I said, I've been here for 3 years. People are keen to and interested in learning, not only the kids learning, but their own learning, and the school as an organization to develop that further. And I see a great acceptance among staff to work on that and support the kids. And number three I would like to mention is the kids themselves. So we have a bring your own device policy from year 7 on. The kids of that age group are used to working with their laptop or tablet or whatever in an IT environment in most lessons. So that's a good basis. Their IT literacy skills are already there on a certain level, and obviously in a complete off-campus online environment that has to be built upon, but there is a good basis there. And in primary, they're working with iPads and doing stuff. So we have an IT literacy concept that's building up from there on, and I think these are three good starting points for making that a successful approach.
Thank you very much for your answer. That was very revealing. I would have another quick question to put forward. Is it better for a student transfer at the beginning of the school year, or maybe possibly consider transferring to term 4 or in term 4?
Maybe I could answer that quickly. In general, it would be good to start in the fresh in the new school year like everyone else, but we know that there are obstacles there, that parents receive work, jobs in certain areas. So we usually have students coming from Germany who have to start right in the half term, because the school year is different in Germany. It would be good maybe to be quick to start at the beginning of the school term, and but we have means to integrate in the regular school term too. So that's not unusual.
Can I jump in here, because I had also one question kind of prepared, and I think that's part of Peter's question. So if the student comes from the Australian school system and is planning to enroll, or is already enrolled for, let's say, next year, year 9, and since we're also having the sciences split up and so on, there's always the question, do I need to prepare? Do I miss out or anything? So basically, if someone wants to start year 9 next year, and would it make sense to start a bit earlier in term 4, now in year 8? Mr. Chartovitz.
I would say that the earlier you come, the better it is, just to tell you, but I have to check individually. Sometimes it's good that the students should stay in his old school and finish this year and say farewell, because we're thinking about the students and not just about the academics. It's more than that. We want to have happy students. We would not like to have students inside there because we think it's academically right, the right time to do that. We would like to come to have them inside the school happy and confident. So the key is that the parents should discuss with us and check when would be the right time. And sometimes it would be good to do it earlier, sometimes it would not. depending on the individual situation, I would say.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. And one
Okay.
very quick last question: is there any possibility that you would allow sample lesson, the online of your sampling online of your online class? Before
You mean that
used to be in
yeah.
person. You were allowing a student to come and have a sample lesson, but what about a sample lesson of an online class?
Good point. We never did that before. Maybe you're the first. We need to check whether we can do this. Antje, what do you
Oh,
think?
if it's possible, just an idea.
I think Thomas and I and Peter, I know which Peter you are. we should definitely talk about this for and discuss that. So
Yeah, thank you for the consideration.
Yeah. Okay. I have no more questions really prepared because everyone asked the questions that I've prepared. It's great. So if no one else has any more questions, or no one of the teachers would like to add anything, I think we've come kind of to the end of this Q&A session. Obviously, if you have any more questions once we've left the chat, quite often that happens that you can suddenly think of more, just contact me if it's a question that I can't answer or you would like to talk to Mr. Metzger a bit more. I can arrange another video call or audio chat, or we can answer by email as well. And yeah, and some of the parents like Peter and Mark, just get in touch with me and we'll talk a bit more about this year potentially still. And yeah. Okay, well, thank you everyone.
Thank you
for joining us, and yeah, we will share this session and also the primary school session, which is still going, and I'm going to go jump over there now in a minute. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was very valuable.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Great
Bye.
talking to you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Yeah.